Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't care. Yeah. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Double Overtime. I'm Aidan Michaels, joined as always by Jack Weisberg. We're not on Zoom anymore. I'm not in Madison. He's not in Boston. We're both in Los Angeles, and we're on a couch instead of on our computers, which is a nice change of scenery for us both. Today's episode is a little bit of an unconventional one. We're kind of going into some hot takes that Jack over here found on the internet. Credit to, what was his name?
His name is Zero Bounce.
Zero Bounce. And he has some hot takes about basketball that we are going to rate. They are either delusional or you guys have to hear us out. So I guess we'll start with the first one.
Let's get right into it. The first one is Ben Simmons is a better basketball player than Magic Johnson.
What a take.
So, delusional?
Yeah,
Or hear me
delusional.
out? Oh.
No, there's no hear me out. If anyone says hear me out to Ben Simmons is a better basketball player than Magic Johnson, then you should never be able to talk about sports in your entire life ever again.
All right, listen.
Oh, no.
I agree.
Okay.
I completely agree. But I could see how somebody would say, I am not, hear me out, I am delusional. But I could see how someone would say, oh, well, Ben Simmons can do this and he's playing against better players and blah, 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 even though he's not really on the floor anymore. But, yeah, we agree. It's delusional.
We can't even really play devil's advocate.
Yeah, it's
I know
hard
you're
to.
trying there.
It's
I
hard
get
to.
it. But, yeah, I mean, that's a bad take. And, again, we want to reiterate, these aren't our takes.
No.
We don't believe in, we saw these on the internet, or Jack saw these on the internet, wrote them down, and we're going over them. Delusional. Yeah?
Yeah, if you have someone to blame Zero Bounce. That's where I find these.
Okay.
Okay, so the next one is 2016 Warriors would smack the shit out of the 96 Bulls.
This one's a little less crazy. Well,
Wait, 2016 is no KD.
2016 is the year that they went 73-9, but lost in the finals to Cleveland, right? So
Yes.
for me, I'm going to say this. I will say, hear me out. I do believe that the Bulls still win. Saying that they're going to smack the Bulls is not happening. They're not going to smack the Bulls. Yes, they had the greatest, I think it was, the greatest regular season of all time, right? We have to realize, everyone jokes about how LeBron won the championship with him and basically nobody else on his team, right? That's what they say. Like, he took this team in 2016 and won the championship. Obviously, there were good players on that team, but not nearly as good as the Warriors. But we have to realize, the Warriors were up 3-1 in the finals and blew that and lost in Game 7. Then you look at the 96 Bulls. They lost 3 games in that entire playoff. They swept the first round, went 4-1 in the second, 4-0 in the third, and 4-2 in the final. They are not losing to the Warriors.
Okay,
And you
took that complete 180. I thought you were going with the Warriors for a second. You're like, oh, hear me out, and then you're like, oh no, it's
Well, because
delusional.
I could see both sides.
Okay, so I'm more so on the side of that they would smack them. But then I had the thought of, who's guarding Scotty and MJ? Is it Draymond? Is it Klay Thompson? Sure as hell ain't Steph. So I don't think they'd smack him. I think it would be in 5 or 6, but smack is a sweep.
But you think the Warriors would still win in 5 or 6?
Absolutely. I don't think that's debatable.
Well, I think it is.
This is a conversation for another time.
Yeah,
I
we'll
think.
get into that later. But so you say Warriors in 5 or 6.
Yeah, Warriors are in 5 or 6 handily, but they're not smacking the shit out of them by
No,
any
they're not.
means. MJ still gets 30, 40 a night.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Again, I could see both ways. To me, I could see the Bulls taking it in 7 games. And again, like I said, they lost 3 games in the playoffs in 96, whereas the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead in the finals to Cleveland. To me, regular season doesn't always mean anything, right?
To LeBron James. Let's remember that.
Yeah, but LeBron James and who?
2016, Kyrie.
Yeah, but did they have a better team than Golden State? No, Golden State, like I said, they lost 9 games.
Well, we're going to be saying the same thing about... Well, we'll get into that later.
About what?
possibly the Dallas Mavericks this year.
All right.
But let's move
not
on.
get into that. That's a crazy one.
Michael Jordan can't guard Ant.
All right. I will say this. There was that... No, listen. There was that take... No, hey, this is not a crazy thing. There was that take that I think Skip Bayless had on whether or not if LeBron and MJ were to go on one-on-one. But it was MJ now, which at the time he was 52, I think, versus LeBron at like 30-something. Like...
Yeah.
That's a crazy take. Like saying that a 52-year-old MJ could beat LeBron. Like, that's not happening.
No.
Obviously, we're talking about prime MJ and Ant now, because he's not even in his prime, let's be honest.
Ant? Yeah, no.
No, I don't think he's in a one-on-one game to 21.
No. That's not the question
All
here.
right.
Let's get on track. The question is, MJ... No, it's a statement. MJ can't guard Ant.
You're saying in a game... How like
in general, he can't
what do you
guard
mean
him.
can't guard? Like how many points is Ant putting up on MJ?
You can't guard him. Ant would get whatever he wants.
Nah, I mean that's just not.
I hear me out.
I think there are players in the NBA now that have a better chance of
Hear
getting
me
past
out.
MJ than Ant.
MJ never had to guard every little speck of the floor because players were so one-dimensional in his day. Now you have a guy like Anthony Edwards who could shoot the step-back three. He could shoot 2 steps behind the three. He could fake 3 and take you for a whirl in the paint. You have no clue what this guy's going to do. And can MJ guard that even if he's a 3-4-time defensive player of the year guy? No, he can't. He can't.
I get what you're saying with the whole one-dimensional thing, and I agree with that. And we have more takes that kind of go along with this, I think, actually, the next one. But it's the fact that MJ in his prime wasn't training to go up against these Kyries and these Ants and all these guys. He was training to go up against these guys that were one-dimensional. If MJ was in his prime today and he was among these athletes, the question is different. That's why it's so hard to talk about and compare previous eras to now, because the game has changed so much. It kind of goes with the same. I mean, unless you have more to say about the MJ Ant thing, we can go into the next take,
Which has
a lot to do with that.
Might have that same answer,
Yeah.
which is DeMar DeRozan would be the best player in the world in the 90s.
And I mean, again, we go with the whole thing of the game's changing. If you take DeMar DeRozan, now there are a handful, and I hope this doesn't get taken out of context. Don't get me wrong here.
It will.
Probably will, which is okay. But there are a handful of players in the NBA today, and I mean a handful, maybe 2 handfuls of players, that would be considered the best player in the world in the 90s because of how humans and athletes have evolved in the last however many years to the point where they are more athletic as a whole. Every athlete, I think, in every sport today is more athletic than 20 years ago in their sport. And 20 years before, every year the game and athletes evolve. So, yes, I think DeMar DeRozan now, with the skill level that he has and how he's developed in the NBA in this era, would be considered probably the best player in the NBA back in the 90s. So that's not even a hear me out. I think that's true.
Wow. So that's a lot for me to take in, especially in a conversation we're going to have later in this. So you do believe... Wow. Okay. I think that DeMar DeRozan would not be the best player in the 90s. I think he would be among the top 10, and that would be no debate. But DeMar, when you say there's a handful of guys that can be the best player, DeMar DeRozan is not one of those guys for me that could come in and be the best player.
Okay.
When you're talking about Ant, when you're talking about Shai, when you're talking about Jokic, Embiid, Giannis, and just to name a few, all of those guys would be the best player in the 90s. DeMar DeRozan, on the other hand, he doesn't really have that skill set for me, especially defensively. So he would... he's not the best player in the 90s. I honestly don't really see how you get to that conclusion, but I'll let it slide.
I want to rephrase, and I don't want to backtrack because I don't like backtracking. I said what I said, right? But I do want to rephrase. You're saying he wouldn't be among the handful of players that could be the best. I want to say it a different way, which is that I think there are players that don't necessarily dominate the game today, I think would dominate the game back in the day. Now, I maybe shouldn't say they would be the best, but I think they would be better than, let's say, a sixth man in the NBA today would be miles clear of a sixth man back in the day. I just think that there are so many players today that would dominate the game in the 70s, 80s. I know we're talking about 90s, but 70s, 80s, 90s, where they don't necessarily dominate the game today. So maybe, again, I don't want to backtrack, but maybe I shouldn't say DeRozan would be the best player in the 90s, but he would definitely be ranked a lot higher than he has been his career in the NBA in this era. Fair?
Okay. No, I mean, yeah, that's
All
fair.
right.
You totally backtracked your statement.
I did. No, listen, I shouldn't have said he would have been the best, but I do think that he would be much higher than he is today. 100%. I won't backtrack on that.
All right, well, that brings us into this next topic, which is
Lord.
Steph Curry is the best point guard of all time. I mean, who are we putting in that conversation with him just to
Magic Johnson.
get us going? Magic Johnson, Ben Simmons.
Stop. Kyrie Irving. He could be up
Yeah,
there.
wow. That's really interesting.
Dare I
to
say
that.
Chris Paul?
No, that's valid. I don't
John
think
Stockton?
he's making anyone pick Chris Paul over Steph Curry.
Well, no, I'm
but-
not picking. I'm not picking Chris Paul over Steph Curry.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. He's the best point guard of all time.
Okay. Why?
I don't need to explain how he changed the game and everything, but who else has ever done anything close to what he's done?
What, just shooting threes? Is that what you're saying? Just like,
Shooting threes, winning championships.
well, shooting threes, winning championships. A lot of players have done that, but
Have they?
yeah. I mean, are you talking about like Curry? Just, I get that he's got the range.
he's
maybe
got-
he's
he's
got better
got-
range than anybody. I think he's the best 3-point shooter of all time.
The question is he the best point guard of
No.
all time?
But you say yes. That's fine. I disagree.
I'm saying yes because I think he's done the most for the point guard position.
That's like saying, and I know you're not a big soccer guy, but
Sure.
like, there's a reason why I don't say Pele is the greatest player of all time. But I do think he's the most revolutionary player. I think he's done the most for the game, but that doesn't make him the best. So you could say he's the most revolutionary point guard, maybe. That doesn't necessarily mean he's the best.
Who are you picking over him?
Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson. Yeah, give me Curry.
So, okay, can I explain?
Sure.
Because I know when I said
6'8" or 6'9", one-dimensional point guard. You love your one-dimensional guys.
well, where are you ranking Magic Johnson then? 2? Like, you can't talk all this shit if you're gonna put him right below Curry. You're not gonna put Kyrie over Magic Johnson. Oh, you are, aren't you?
You're the one that brought Kyrie into this conversation. All right, let's be clear about that.
Okay, let me say this. The reason why I say Magic Johnson is better than Curry as a point guard, and he's the best point guard of all time. Like we were just talking about with DeMar, right? Like how the game has just changed. Curry back in Johnson's era with his skill set now, people would think he's, the second coming of Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't even know if that's offensive, and I apologize if it is. I don't think it is, right? I don't know if that is. Anyway.
I'm not, yeah.
Yeah, my point is they would think this guy's out of his mind if he was back in that era, right? But for me, I'm judging by era. When I judge players, I don't judge, MJ, let's judge how he would play in today's NBA. Or it's, Gretzky versus McDavid. I'm not going to, Gretzky today, he's already admitted that McDavid would be better than him back in the day. But you judge it on that era. On that era, Magic Johnson was arguably, I wouldn't even say arguably, he was the most dominant point guard in the NBA. And in the NBA's history at that point. And yes, Curry has done a lot to the point guard position. He's re-revolutionized the point guard position. But I don't think he beats Magic Johnson as far as greatness goes. I really don't. Magic Johnson, to me, he's the best point guard of all time. And Curry is number 2.
And
I'm
you're
not
saying
discredit
Curry can't do anything to surpass Magic.
At this point?
Yeah, because he's 35.
No, he's got some more time.
Does he?
I think he does. I think he's one of those players. Greatness, what comes with greatness is longevity, right? I don't think, it's like LeBron. I don't think Curry's done. I mean, obviously he's not in his prime, and if anything, Curry's not going to be going like this, right? He's not going to be going up. If anything, he'll be going down. Obviously, he's 35.
Which isn't going to help.
No, of course it's not. But he's not done yet. I mean, listen, this Warriors team is. I mean, Clay's going to go. Draymond says he's going to stay, but Draymond, the Warriors team, the championship days, I don't want to say are over, but with the team that we saw, obviously they're over. I also don't love judging a player's greatness until they've retired. That is why I kind of refuse to acknowledge that LeBron James could be considered the greatest of all time, because I want to say that when he's done.
Well,
so I can't say Curry's going to be
say the same thing about Steph Curry when he's done. So
maybe
we'll wait for that.
In double overtime episode 247, and however many years when Curry retires, we'll talk about that. We'll have a conversation. I need it to marinate a little bit.
Of course.
All right, next one.
The best defenders to ever live are playing in the NBA right now. Let that one sink in.
Yeah. Hear me out. I don't think that's delusional at all. I think it's kind of an old head versus young guy argument, isn't it?
Absolutely. A lot of these are.
Yeah, a lot of them are, and I feel like an old head a little bit. But that's okay. No, I think the best, and I said this earlier a few minutes ago, and again, I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but I'll say it again, because I want to reemphasize it. The best athletes ever are playing the sport right now. I just think that's just how it is. We are seeing skill moves and things that we've never seen before in college games, even that we've never even dreamed of seeing in the professional game back in the 80s and 90s and before that. So yeah, the game has developed so much to the point where we are seeing the best defenders, but I would also go and say we're seeing the best offensive players. We are just seeing the best athletes in general. So I think that's a fine take. I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think there's much to say about it, just besides that, like, Rudy Gobert does not qualify as my 5 best defenders right now.
Right now or of all time? You're saying right now?
Either.
Okay.
Like,
that's fine.
I don't think he deserved the award. Anyway, it's harder to score now than in the 90s. Only reason it doesn't seem like it is because of how skilled everybody is.
I mean, listen, these are good takes that Zero Bouncer putting out. Well, some of them are that he's putting out. But again, these last 4 or 5 questions are all under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
Which is, we just talked about it. It's the best defenders we're seeing, best athletes we're seeing. So, I think that it's totally reasonable to say that it's harder to score now because we are seeing the best defenders. You could also argue, like, okay, we're seeing the best offensive players, so maybe it should be easier to score. But no, I mean, it's just a more competitive game. I will also say that there are a lot of soft calls nowadays in the NBA. So if you want to say it's harder to score because players can't really get away with pushing and shoving and getting their body in it, then I guess it's harder to score because of that reason too.
And isn't that what the old heads have been saying for 10 years now?
What, that the game's gotten soft?
The game's gotten soft. You can get to the line super easily. Yeah, I mean, even Luka said it, that like the NBA is easier to score than the EuroLeague.
Do you disagree?
Do I disagree with this? I mean, I'm not an old head, so I don't see that sign of logic. I see that everyone is more athletic. Everyone is better at every position, like you were saying.
Yeah.
And that would support that it's harder to score now than in the 90s.
Yeah. I do think that, and this is why I have a little bit of a hard time watching basketball, and I'm a big soccer fan too, and I have a very hard time watching soccer for this very reason too. And we're hockey guys, right? So we're used to the physical play, but basketball and soccer, for me, the two sports that just you touch a guy and you get called for a foul, and I can't stand for that. And obviously baseball's not contact, but like hockey, obviously you can check a guy, you can hip check a guy. No penalty, right? If you do it right, it's legal. It's very hard for me to watch basketball in the sense that, you can stand there and take a charge, and I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of that. So I would say it's harder in that regard too. Just the fact that you can't really do anything that looks too dominant because then that's called a foul, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. But listen, those were our Zero Bounce reactions or his hot takes and our reactions to them. So thanks to him for those hot takes. We'll head over to the NFL here. First, I guess we'll start off with who you think the NFL team is that has the most underrated offseason so far, or has had.
All right, so there's a few to point out just off the top of the dome. We got the Eagles, who might not be underrated, but they did get the two of the top 3 rated cornerbacks in the draft. They got Saquon Barkley. They lost some guys, but the same thing happened last season where they just like had a complete overload of talent come on top of the guys that they lost. So I think the Eagles are there. The Raiders are definitely there. They're not being talked about. I would say they're the most underrated for sure, actually. You got Christian Wilkins, beast in the middle. You re-signed the defensive tackles, John Jenkins, and some other guy that had 5 sacks. You drafted well. You got the best tight end in the draft, the best guard in the draft, and Jackson Powers Johnson. You just got better all across the board. I think offense got better, defense got better on a team that had a top 10 defense last year, and the offense sucked, but that was more so directed towards who the head coach was for half the season, which was Josh McDaniels, who he absolutely sucked on the offensive side of the ball, even though he's an offensive guru. So for me, it's the Raiders. I could see how it could be the Eagles, the Texans,
Vikings maybe.
Vikings. I would respect that if you said that, but I think the Raiders are by far the most underrated team going into this season.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're our NFL guy, so I'm gonna trust your. Well, I don't know if I should trust what you say about the Raiders because I know you've got a history to be biased toward them, and you can't deny that. But I'm going to take your word for that you're not being biased here and that you actually do believe they had a very underrated offseason. So I'll take your word for that. The 2 teams that popped in my head, just thinking about it earlier, were the Eagles. Again, you could say it was underrated. You might say it's just the Eagles, but they're fairly rated. But them and then the Texans, I think. I can tell you who's not had a good offseason. That's my Dallas Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott. Yeah, it's going to be a rough one. But that kind of brings us into our next set of questions here, which is who we think are going to top the divisions, the way too early predictions we have for the NFL. And we'll start with Philadelphia and Dallas's division. And I assume you're not going to say New York or Washington, but which one of those two are going to be atop of their division?
Well, I think the Eagles will be on top, and I do still think Dallas will be a close second, just because of the defense that they built there. They're getting Diggs back. Mm-hmm. Which should only help. But yeah, I still think they're a 10-win team in Dallas, but I think the Eagles are more of a 12-win team. So yeah, I think the Eagles take that division.
I honestly, and I'm unbiased. I really am. I put Philadelphia to win the division this upcoming season. It's close because obviously Dallas narrowly edged out Philly on the division title last year. It's going to be very, very close, but to me, you got the running back position. You got the Cowboys getting worse. They got Zeke, and then you got Saquon Barkley going to the Eagles. I don't not see a world where the Cowboys can beat the Eagles in the division. To me, my heart's telling me it's Philadelphia, it hurts my heart to say that, but it's true. I think Philly. And on to the NFC West.
Yeah, NFC West to me is just kind of a no-brainer, 49ers. Yeah. I think they're going to take it. I think this could be a hot take. I think that they might be the only team that makes it to the playoffs from their division.
Really?
Yep.
You don't think there's any chance for perhaps the Rams?
I think the Rams in Seattle, I'm not even really going to talk about the Cardinals. I think that the Rams in Seattle have a chance to make some noise, maybe sneak in with a 9-8 record, something silly. But I don't think they're a threat to the 49ers by any means.
No. I mean, I fully agree with you on that part. I mean, there's no team taking out the 49ers in that division, I don't think. Wouldn't surprise me if the Rams make the playoffs, but since we're only talking about who's going to win the division, it's San Francisco. So far, we agree we're 3 for 3 here on what we... Or that was our second one.
Well,
we're 2 for 2 on what we... not a math guy, you know this. On what... Yeah, we agree on Philly and San Francisco.
This is where the chaos is coming.
Yes, and I am interested to hear what you have to say first about the NFC North. What are you thinking?
I mean, I think it could go a number of ways. You have Jordan Love. You have... I mean, they look great. They got better this offseason. You have the Lions, who their defense got better this offseason. And you have the Bears, who just completely revamped their entire team.
Yeah.
And I mean, their offense looks, on paper, unstoppable.
Yeah.
Listen, I think it's possible that all three of these teams make the playoffs. I want to start by saying that.
Okay.
I think it's very possible.
You think the Bears already?
Yes, I do. I think they put a really good team around Caleb. And, I mean, I think he has his rookie struggles, but I think that the Bears will be a winning team. I think that the Lions are going to win the division. I was between the Lions and the Packers. And, yeah, I have the Lions.
All right. One, I want to say, hey, have you finally gotten a little soft spot for Caleb Williams now since you said that you personally hate him on our first episode?
No, I still personally hate him. I just think when you have any quarterback, even a guy like Aidan O'Connell, and you put 3 all-star wide receivers around the guy, he's gonna deliver for you, and that's another reason why I think that the Raiders are gonna be good this year, because they have that structure around Aidan O'Connell to just have superstars at every skill position.
Yep. Okay.
So, yeah.
So this is where we disagree.
Oh.
But I kind of gave it a little hot take version to it. Like, realistically, I think the Lions probably have the best chance of winning, but I went with the Packers. I'm really impressed with what I saw from Jordan Love, especially in that game against the Cowboys in the playoffs. That was, I mean, you know how hard that was for me to watch, especially being in Wisconsin while watching it, being just surrounded by Packer fans. But I really think the Packers can do it. I really think they can. I think they've got a less chance of doing it. They've got a worse chance. I think the Lions realistically have the better chance, but I really think the Packers could win that division.
Listen, and I'm not disagreeing. I think the Packers could totally take this division. But today I'm going with the Lions.
That's fair.
So let's move on to the NFC South. Probably, has been the most boring division.
I was going to say, I kind of hate this one.
For a while, but it should get more interesting this year. Hopefully.
I mean, do we have the same team going here? Should we say it on 3?
I don't know if we do.
Should we try it?
1, 2, 3,
Buccaneers. Okay, so we do disagree.
Yeah, we do.
All right. Well, why Saints?
Well, I think that if Derek Carr is ever going to make the playoffs again this year, or be an NFL quarterback again, he needs to make the playoffs this year with the Saints, a team that has top 12 defense and should have... I'm being nice. They should have a pretty decent offense with the pieces that they have, and it's all up to Derek Carr. But I think, listen, it could go to either 3 of these teams: Bucks, Falcons, or Saints.
Falcons are a little underrated.
I agree with
right?
that. I think they're underrated as well.
Okay.
I do think that the best quarterback in the division might be Derek Carr. And that's why I'm picking Derek.
What a world we live in, no? Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't care. Yeah. I'll go with the Bucks. I could care less if it's the Saints or the Falcons. If I had to choose one, I would actually choose the Falcons. I like them. I also root for an underdog, you know? And I think they're the underdog. They haven't really done anything since they blew that lead in the Super Bowl back in the day. Back in the day, what was that, like
8 years ago?
8 years ago, so yeah. I'm going with Bucks, but again, I who cares? I don't. Derek Carr, like honestly, like good for Derek Carr if he does it. I don't mind the guy, as much as you think I don't like him. I just I like to fuck with you when he was on the Raiders, but like I don't mind him. I wish the best for him. Don't think he's that great, but I wish the best for him. Anyway, let's move on to a more exciting one, shall we?
Let's do it.
Well, the AFC South.
Okay. Now we're talking.
Are we?
Sort of. I mean, AFC South, I just saw the Jags getting worse this offseason. Mm-hmm. I saw the Colts maybe get a little bit, better, but that's if Anthony Richardson stays healthy.
Yeah.
And I just think the Texans, who went like this last year, are going like this again, and that they are just going to destroy in division games. Yeah, I think they're going to take.
Yeah, I like the Colts. I mean,
what the?
No, I like them as in I like them as a team. I'm not saying I'm choosing them.
Okay, continue.
No, I'm just saying I like the Colts a lot, mostly because, if not only because of Jonathan Taylor, just because he was, before I went to Wisconsin, that was like the guy that I loved watching for the Badgers. I did.
All right, stop it with your sob story. Let's get it going.
This guy, eh? Like, no, but seriously, I loved watching, like, this is the guy I watched in high school, and I was like, I really like this guy, and when he went to the league, I was like, this is awesome. So I root for him all the time. I think he's a great running back, but no, I mean, they're not beating the Texans. I don't know, what's your deal? What, yeah, God forbid I show a little bit of emotion.
We both knew the whole time you were going to say the Texans, so
you didn't? You thought I was going to say the Colts at first?
Have a little soft spot for these guys.
I do. Well, when are we going to talk about the Colts?
Well, this isn't a segment about Aidan's soft spots for running backs, okay?
Whatever. Yeah, but listen, we're both picking the Texans, and that's an easy one, I think.
Yeah.
C.J. Stroud.
Yeah.
He's a beast. He's a beast.
Got Stephon Diggs. Don't forget about that.
Woo! Should have been a Cowboy. Come home to your brother, man.
Dak Prescott would not be able to throw to that man. So let's move on to the AFC West.
Oh, Lord.
We got the Chargers. We got, obviously, the Chiefs.
The Broncos.
I don't think the Broncos should be talked about.
No, they shouldn't.
But,
and who?
We got the Raiders as well.
You better not say it.
I'll let you start.
Well, I'm picking the Chiefs. Come on. I think the Chiefs have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl than the Raiders have of winning the division.
Well, yeah, I think Vegas would agree with you on that.
Okay. I'm glad. That's not even a hot take. That's
that's not a hot take.
So don't say the fucking Raiders then.
I'm not saying the Raiders.
Okay, all right. I'm just making sure. I'm trying to keep you in check here.
Now, I do think that the Raiders can be a 10-11 win team. Confidently, I will say that. Do I think that they're going to outdo the Chiefs this year? I think there would have to be some injuries for that to go down.
Yeah, there'd have to be like a giant portal to open and just suck all the Chiefs players into.
No, you know what? I'll tell you this. I think that the Raiders beat the Chiefs again this year.
I don't think they do.
I think they do. And yeah, so I'm taking the Chiefs.
Okay.
I think that the Raiders are a close second, Chargers distant third, and Broncos will maybe win 4 games.
Okay. Fair enough. Here's an exciting one. The AFC East. Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, and Jets.
Yay. Yeah. Okay, let's just start with this. The Jets are overhyped. People have got to cool the Jets on the Jets.
I mean, he's been waiting to say that.
I actually haven't. That just came out, and that was pretty cool. And maybe you're jealous because I said it, but I said it. All right.
Why do you think they're overhyped? We haven't even seen Aaron Rodgers at all. He tore his Achilles on what? How many minutes into the season last year?
I think like 14 or something.
Yeah, like how can we say they're overhyped if we haven't even seen them play? Right? I'm not gonna say that they're gonna be this amazing team and they're gonna beat out the Bills and the Dolphins in the division. I'm not saying that. I don't think anyone's really saying that either. I just think
people are saying that.
Okay, if people are saying that, then I guess you could say they're overhyped. But it's hard for me to say that a team is overrated or overhyped if we haven't even seen them play. Give them a chance at least. Wait until week 5.
Don't overhype them before they start playing.
Overhype. Fair enough. I understand. They're not winning the division. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying let's cool the Jets, as you like to say, on saying that they're overrated and overhyped when we haven't even seen them play. You know? I mean, we're talking about Rodgers, who was MVP only a few years ago.
So this guy's been talking for like a minute, hasn't even given his pick for the division.
Because I don't know. I think I want to go with the Dolphins, to be honest. Because I thought the Dolphins could have done it last year and the Bills did it. I think the Dolphins, I think this is their year. Not to win the Super Bowl. This is just their year to win the division, I think.
I agree in that it's their year to win the division.
Yeah.
I think that the Bills are going to take a step down, but might be able to perform to like the same level they have been in the playoffs.
Oh, yeah.
But I think they'll take a step down in the regular season. Dolphins should be able to take that spot. If not, the Jets are that team.
Yeah.
Because if everybody's healthy, they have the players to do it.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, it's honestly, it's not even it's a pretty fun division to watch, I think, this year.
Absolutely.
The Patriots are going to be a lot better. Well, I'd say a lot better.
Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. What's that guy's name? Drake May.
Drake May, yeah. They're going to, yeah.
And,
you don't have Zeke, though. Who's the running back? The Pats. I don't know, to be honest.
The Pats always figure out, they have a new coach. Gerard
Oh my gosh.
Mayo.
I didn't even think about it. No more Bill.
Yeah. So I was going to say their run game will be fine, but
we don't know.
Probably won't.
It's going to be, listen, first season with the new coach, first season with the new running back, first season with the rookie quarterback. I mean, it's going to be an experimental season. But, as far as Bills-Dolphins go, I think Dolphins could edge the Bills. And I do think, I wouldn't even surprise... What? What are you looking at?
Continue. You want to be surprised with what?
I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills actually go further in the playoffs than the Dolphins, despite not winning the division.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I already said that.
You didn't say that.
I actually did. Run the tape back. I said that.
We're going to roll it back right now.
Okay. AFC North.
This one's an easy one. I'm picking the Browns. I'm just kidding. I was just joking.
Well, I think any of these teams sort of got a shot, maybe besides the Browns.
Right. The Ravens are winning it, though. Let's be real.
Yeah, let's be real.
Yeah.
Bengals will... I mean, Bengals are a shout if they're healthy.
If Burrow's healthy, they've got a real chance, yeah. It's true.
But the Ravens do look scary. I don't want to play Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson. That's... Yeah, good job, good one. Yeah, so I'm taking the Ravens.
What about Steelers country?
I didn't know they say that. Do they say that?
Well, now that they've got Russell Wilson,
then
he might say that.
I think Justin Fields wins the job. Actually,
you think?
I think he's
That's
better.
such a weird situation they got over in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
it's a weird one. The whole I don't know. It's weird to me. Get rid of Kenny Pickett and I don't.
So you want the Browns?
What are you talking about?
For the division, you think?
No,
the Browns?
I was kidding. I told you I want the Ravens.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. So we agree on Ravens. We agree on Dolphins.
We
agree on Chiefs.
Texans.
We agree on Texans.
We disagree. Saints and Bucks. I say Bucks. You say Saints.
Yep.
You say Lions. I say Packers. But I know I'm in the minority there, and that's fine. We both say San Francisco. We both say Philadelphia.
All right.
Fair enough.
Nothing to fight about. We're
okay.
Yeah. I'm sure
no disagreements.
This will change later on in the season, but it's time to move on.
And we're moving on to what is the biggest shot in the dark you can take, which is somehow trying to predict who's going to win the World Series at this stage.
Yeah.
With all the crazy stuff that goes on in baseball, arguably, I would say the most unpredictable sport.
Yeah.
Out of the America's Big Four.
I think it is.
It's got to be. I mean, well, I have a few. I want to hear what your prediction is for who do you think could win it, because I've got a few teams that I think have a chance here.
I'm thinking about the Phillies.
Okay.
I'm thinking about my Dodgers.
Okay.
But we'll take my Dodgers out because everyone knows they're not going to win.
Okay.
So we got the Phillies. Honestly, that's about it for me, man. I think the Phillies are going to win it.
This is their year?
I think that I mean, it's been their year. I just think it's their time. I don't really know much besides the Phillies kick ass.
They do. That's all you need to know.
And it's their time to win a championship. I think that all the teams in the Dodgers division also suck. So,
So I've got my who I think can win, and then I've got my maybe my dark horses. Because the reason why I did a whole thing of who could be the dark horses, because last year we had the Rangers win. They were a wild card team. Who did they beat? The Diamondbacks, who were a wild card team. And we had 2 wild card teams make the World Series last year.
That was BS.
But I don't even think it is a BS. To me, it's just
it does happen every year, though.
It's so unpredictable that it's just I don't know. So I'm going to start with who I think on the NL, Phillies or Dodgers. So those are the 2 teams you said. Those are the 2 teams that I think could make it.
Yeah.
On the AL side, I've gone with, I think the Yankees.
The Rays, right?
Have a chance. I don't know. I don't love the Rays.
Wow.
I think the Yankees, and I'm trying to think if I had one more team that I thought
Astros
could do it. No. The Astros, I don't think will even make the playoffs, to be honest.
Okay.
To be honest. Yankees, I was thinking of one more team that I can't really think of right now, which is a shame because I'm totally unprepared. How unprofessional. But honestly, I think the Yankees out of the AL. And then my dark horse teams are 2 teams in the same division, and that is the Guardians and the Royals. 2 teams that I know it's crazy. These are my dark horse teams. I really think that they've got a chance. I think here's my crazy. Ready? Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Aidan Michaels. This is my super hot take of the week.
Oh, boy.
Ready? Your 2024 World Series champions, the Kansas City Royals. You heard it here first.
I'll tell you this. I would believe the Guardians before the Royals.
Well, I'm picking the Royals.
Okay.
So I was talking with my buddy Parker, who you guys will probably see this week when we do an episode on the Champions League. I hope we get to do that because he's our soccer expert. So we were on the way home from a Dodger game, and he's a betting guy. He's a sports betting guy. And he's like, you know what? I kind of want to put some money on the Royals. And I was like, why? We had a little conversation about it. We were like, you know what? It could happen. The Royals could win, and I think it's a plus 5,000 for them to win.
Wow.
And we're both thinking, if we get Parker on here, I'm sure he'll be like, yeah, I don't actually think the Royals are going to win. And I'm not going to say I necessarily do either, but that's my hot take. Is I think they can win it. They definitely can. As a wild card team, I want to be one of the only people to say that they're going to win the World Series. So when they do, I can be like, yeah, I
so
said
everybody comment. We already thought the Royals were going to win the World Series.
Don't take this away from me. They don't want to join me on this because they're too scared. People are too scared to agree that the Royals are going to win the World Series. But
flood them.
In seriousness, here's another wild card team, and you're talking about the Dodgers division. I think a team and they've never won the World Series, and I don't think they will win the World Series, but a team that I think can actually potentially do some damage in the playoffs.
No.
And they got to worry about making it.
No.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The San Diego Padres.
Oh my
I hate them more than any team in the league, I think, maybe besides the Astros. Obviously, as a Dodgers fans, we have to hate San Diego. First of all, beautiful ballpark. I went there last week to see the Padres and Dodgers. Beautiful ballpark. I know it's one of the newer ones. I love it. It's great.
Is that what's going on with you right now?
I'm just in a bit of a San Diego mindset right now. I went down there and I'm like, wow, I love it here. The fans are, but the area is nice. The stadium is beautiful, and I've followed the Padres a little bit in the last couple weeks. And as much as I hate them, I think they can do some damage. I don't think they'll win the World Series, but they could actually do some damage. They really could. That's one of my dark horses. Keep in mind, these are my dark horses.
Uh-huh.
By the way, this is embarrassing. So your girlfriend's a Padres fan, and you're.
I never said that I wanted that shared. It's total breach of privacy.
We're gonna blur that out. You don't even know what I just said. You have no idea what I just said. You'll never know. How about that? But
no, the people can know.
The people can know.
They can know.
Well, congratulations, you've done it. But anyway, she's a Padre fan, and I just feel like you're doing her a disservice by not believing that they can do some damage.
Because I'm a Dodger fan?
No, it's not about that though. You have to put your biases aside. The Padres are a good-looking team. they're not going to win the division. The Dodgers are going to take home the division. They might not even finish second in the division. The Giants could finish second.
The Giants will finish second.
But the Padres, I don't know if they will.
They will.
Okay, well, listen. It's 50-50. And I think the Padres will either get that second spot or take a wild card spot. And I think they'll win a series in the playoffs. I think they'll win. If they make it to a wild card series, I don't think they lose. I really don't. And by the way, we should be scared. They've had our number this season. They have. Not as much as, they haven't swept us or anything, but they've beaten us more times than we should be losing to the Padres.
Seems like you're traumatized because you drove 2 hours to see your team
3
play
hours.
3 hours.
And they lost, walk-off.
Lost in a walk-off, and you had to drive 3 hours back up home.
And I was sad, I was.
Yeah.
But again, it's nothing to do with how beautiful I think
Your
San Diego
judgment is clouded.
But all I've said are positive things about the Padres right now.
Exactly.
Except for I hate them. The negatives, I hate them. The positive is I think they'll do well. I think they'll make the playoffs, and they've just got a beautiful city and stadium.
Listen, I respect what you're trying to do here, but
I've just been getting into baseball recently, man. I like talking about these dark horse teams. I'm a big underdog guy. Come on, we grew up on underdogs winning. We grew up on the Kings going all the way to win the Cup.
You're right, but I was never rooting for the Ducks.
I'm not rooting for the Padres. Don't get
Sounds
it
like
twisted.
this guy's rooting for the Ducks.
No, I'm not. We're not talking about the Ducks now. I'm not rooting for the Padres. Don't get me wrong. I hope they lose every game from now on.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think they will. Obviously, they won't lose every game. And I think they'll do well. I really do. I know it's crazy, but I'm not trying to be a biased Dodger guy.
I think maybe we should move on to something
move on.
you know a little more about.
National Hockey League.
Yes, so let's talk about the Western Conference right now. I believe
It's 2-1.
Oh, I thought it was 2-2.
2-1 Dallas.
It's 2-1 Dallas.
They won it yesterday. Oilers blew a 2-0 lead in yesterday's game.
Wow.
Again,
okay.
they blew another 2-0 lead.
So, what do we got coming out of that series here?
It's amazing because every time I say the Oilers won't do, the Oilers aren't going to do shit because they beat the Kings every year in the playoffs, and I'm they'll lose in the next round. They don't. They make it to the conference finals and they lose there. They got swept in the conference finals by Colorado 2 years ago.
Yep.
This is a different story. They were one loss away, from losing and being eliminated by the Canucks in the second round. They won Game 6 and they won Game 7. Man, I'm picking Dallas just because from the beginning, and we said this on our very first podcast episode with Nate, I picked Dallas to go to the Stanley Cup Finals from the beginning. I won't change my thing on that. I'm not saying it's an unpopular opinion. Most people pick Dallas and New York to go in the final. And I picked those two. And I think Dallas, after beating Vegas and then beating Colorado, it showed me, okay, they're beating Edmonton. But, like I said, with the fact that every year I say Edmonton's not going to do anything, and then they end up winning a series or two more, they always prove me wrong. But I'm sticking with Dallas. Gosh, I sound so indecisive because I really am. But I'm sticking with Dallas. Yeah.
Listen, I want it to be Dallas, but realistically here, if a team's gonna come back from 2-1, it's the Oilers.
Yeah.
And they're gonna do it with class.
Because you just tie it up in Edmonton tomorrow night.
Yeah. It's
go back to
series.
Dallas, and it's a whole new game.
So, yeah, I have more faith in the Oilers, I would say, to come out of the West. What about the East? We have the Panthers and the Rangers.
I mean, you know what I'm going with.
Oh, okay.
Shout out Steve Michaels, the man who gave birth to me. He didn't give birth to me. Shout out Sherry Michaels, she gave birth to me. But Steve Michaels was, he's my dad. And this is his jersey, and I have to honor the Rangers by wearing it.
Wow.
It's my grandpa's childhood team growing up in New York.
Wow.
Get this, I have a soft spot for the Rangers. I know you don't like me talking about my soft spots.
No, not on this podcast.
I do. I have a soft spot for the Rangers. And I do think they'll win. A little bit closer than I expected. The Panthers came out swinging in Game 1 and then evening the last two games and those two overtime wins that the Rangers had. It could be, you say overtime could have been any team. Could have been 3-0 Panthers at this point. Like, it went both ways. The Rangers had 2 overtime wins. Rangers in 6 or 7 to me, I think.
So, I don't think this is a hot take at all, but I think that the Panthers are going to win 3 straight. and take the series.
You'll think they'll win 3 straight right now?
I do.
Really?
I think that even though the Rangers might think they have this momentum,
Because they do. If you
technically-
believe in that sort of thing.
technically, I think that that the Panthers know that the momentum is right here for the taking.
Yeah.
And that it takes one game.
It does.
And I mean, all the games that they've played have been extremely winnable. So I have the Panthers and the Oilers.
Oh, that's funny because I have the Stars and the Rangers.
Well, yeah, you're just going biased because you're picking the teams that are up 2-1. I'm picking the teams that only have a
Guys,
win in the series.
this
know.
this is absurd. We're in a bracket challenge. I don't know what
Oh, now you're sharing the bracket challenge. Okay.
you think I'm oversharing. We can't be a little personal here. We're in a bracket challenge. Me and my buddies, we do it every year for a little bit of cash, and we're both not winning. But I will say, I have had the Rangers winning the Stanley Cup over the Dallas Stars since the beginning. Why would I go out now? Of course I'm going to stick with that.
Sure.
Would you not?
Oh, listen.
No, but
I
be
understand.
realistic.
I understand.
I'm
why.
getting some sarcastic vibe from you right now, and I'm not really feeling it. Listen, it's going to be Dallas and New York. But here's what I want to say before we move on to our last thing, or our last couple things. I was going to say this, that we're seeing probably the most competitive 2 conference finals in the NHL since before the pandemic. And it totally just proves it, the fact that you're saying it's going to be Edmonton, Florida, and I'm saying it's going to be New York, Dallas.
Yeah, very true.
Both series could go either way. I wouldn't be surprised if we get any sort of combination that we get. It's really I love it because, I mean, the last 2 years, we've had sweeps in the conference final. 22, we had Colorado sweeping Edmonton. They won the cup. And then 23, we had Florida sweeping Carolina, and they ended up losing. But, these are going to be series that I think could both go to 6 or 7, which that's just more hockey for us. I love it because I don't feel stressed.
It's good for the sport.
Yeah, when the Kings aren't playing, I want it to go to 7. I want to see more hockey and more exciting hockey. So, it's going to be great, and I can't wait because it's going to be a really entertaining Stanley Cup final because there's so many different storylines. McDavid and Draisaitl.
Yep.
Can they finally win the cup? Can Canada end their streak since 1993 of not winning a cup? Right? Can the Stars finally win their cup? First time since 1999. Rangers, they haven't won it since 94. Can they bring it back to New York? And then, what was the other team? Florida?
Yeah.
They've never won it. Can they win it for the first time? And can legendary coach Paul Maurice finally get his trophy? I mean, there are just so many great storylines that whoever wins, it's great for the league, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate that coach. Anyway.
Why do you hate... All right. I love He's a great coach.
We
Great person.
got a little thinker of a question here.
This is, by the way, can I preface this question?
Go ahead.
When I read this question, after Jack shared it with me, I almost threw up. For 2 reasons. I almost threw up because I was disgusted, and I almost threw up because I was laughing so hard.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
So, the question is...
Say it with a straight face.
If LeBron wins the next in-season tournament, is he the undisputable GOAT?
No.
No or no?
No. What is that?
Are you a Valley girl?
Well, yeah.
Come on, give your take straight up.
Okay, here's my take straight up. The in-season tournament has nothing to do with him being the GOAT. He may well be the GOAT when he's retired. I'm not going to say that he's not the GOAT and he needs one more thing to push it over. The in-season tournament means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. It's stupid. I think it's dumb. There's a banner hanging at Crypto.com Arena. We've seen it in person, right? Or have you? I don't know if you've been back.
I have.
Crypto. Yeah, you've seen it. I've seen it. It's funny. It's funny to see that with all those 17 World Championship banners that the Lakers have, that they have in-season tournaments. Wow, congratulations. What did that buy you? Nothing.
Well, actually...
First round exit? I mean, it means
actually,
nothing.
it's $500K for every player.
Oh, yeah, that makes him the GOAT. And, yeah, like LeBron, yeah. LeBron's the GOAT now because he got an extra $500K. You know what I mean? This is my rant. I'm sorry for ranting here, but, the in-season tournament has absolutely nothing to do.
With LeBron's legacy. That's what you're saying.
Yes, I am. Thank you for putting the words in my mouth. I agree. Yeah.
Okay, so I disagree in that it has nothing to do with his legacy because it shows that you were able to defeat every team in your way. Like the Lakers winning the in-season tournament this year. Obviously, it's a Mickey Mouse in-season tournament because it's the first one, whatever you want to say. But you had to go through some pretty decent teams to get to where you wanted to go. I mean, you had to beat the Pacers in the final. That's the team that's fighting against the Celtics right now in the Eastern Conference Final. So, that's the closest thing that LeBron is going to get to another NBA championship is the in-season tournament. So, do I think that we should start taking them more seriously for his sake? Yes, I do. Do I think that the next in-season tournament win for LeBron would make him the indisputable GOAT? I don't. I think that it would honestly be bad for him if he won another one, because people would
make fun of him.
Yeah, talking a lot of shite.
Yeah,
he doesn't need that.
So. I also want to say, like, firstly, I'm not a huge fan of the in-season tournament. I don't know. I can't explain it. It just makes
soccer does it. Do they not?
They do, and that's different though. I think.
Explain.
The FA Cup is the oldest soccer tournament in the world. They've been doing it since the 1800s. It has much more prestige. And I know, okay, the in-season tournament might have a lot more prestige, right? In 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Here's the difference between... Because every league in Europe and in the world, for that matter, soccer league, they have side tournaments. England, we'll stick with that because it's the biggest one. The Premier League, 38-game season, right? Whoever finishes first gets the title. Then there's the FA Cup, a side tournament. And then there's the EFL Cup, a second side tournament. But here's the biggest difference. There's 20 teams in the Premier League. How many teams in the NBA?
32.
Okay. There are 92 teams.
30, actually.
Okay, there are 92 teams in the English soccer pyramid. I would say the English football pyramid because it's the EFL. The English football pyramid. There are 92 teams. All of those teams have a chance to compete for the trophy. Is the Premier League team going to win it pretty much every time? Yes, of course, because it's the top division. It's a pyramid, right? But it's all of England. That's what makes it so prestigious. It's the entire country of England compete for this trophy.
You want the G League to participate in the in-season tournament.
No, I don't think there should be I don't think there should be an in-season tournament. It's imagine that there's 30 teams in the NBA competing for one goal to win the championship. Oh, by the way, you have to play in this other thing for this championship that doesn't matter.
Within the regular season.
I know that's the whole in-season thing.
It makes the games during the season important.
And here's the thing. They know that the ratings are going down. NBA is number 2 to NFL, but it's by a long shot now. The NFL is going up. They need ratings. What are you going to do? Add the in-season tournament. I get it. It's very, very lucrative. I understand. It really is. It's bringing the ratings up. I don't mind that at all. Trust me. It's a business. I get it. And you're more likely to tune into the in-season tournament final than you are to some random regular season game. But it's like, I know it's early because it's the first time they did it. There's nothing special about that, I don't think. If the Kings won the in-season tournament, the Los Angeles Kings, if they had a hockey one,
yeah.
I mean, would you celebrate it as much as you would if the Kings won the Stanley Cup? I would celebrate it like a normal win.
I don't think that's a question of would you celebrate it as much.
But there's a trophy and a banner.
Would you celebrate it? Yeah, there's also a trophy. Okay.
I don't like the trophy and the banner. I mean, you saw the Lakers players were laughing when they were putting it up because they're like, we're doing a whole raise the banner, right? Trophy celebration for the in-season tournament.
Damn right.
I don't know. I don't like it, but I'm a hater. That's who I am, I guess. But I guess back to the bigger picture here. I don't think LeBron James can ever be the indisputable GOAT because everyone is always going to dispute MJ versus LeBron, right? There's always going to be a dispute there.
Sure.
Well, you don't think so?
You're right. I think that one day, you're right.
Right.
It will never end.
I mean, as long as we're alive, I don't think...
Well, Wemby might be able to close the gap. In terms of just obvious...
Right.
Like statistical anomaly of a player.
Yeah.
He has a chance to do that.
That's fair. In the future, yes. All right. Well, I guess we've got one final thing here, haven't we?
Yeah, we do.
It's the big one you guys have been waiting for. He's dressed for it.
Am I? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I am. I'm dressed for this.
Who is going to win the NBA championship? What is it, the Larry O'Brien? Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's the Larry O'Brien Trophy.
3 teams left.
Well,
Dare I say 2.5?
yeah.
Dare I say 2.1? We've got the Dallas Mavericks, who are up 3-0 against the Timberwolves. They're playing. Are they playing tonight?
They are playing as we speak.
Right? Okay, so the Mavericks could have a chance to sweep the Timberwolves, which is a big, big statement for them to head to the NBA championship, the NBA Finals, excuse me. The Pacers were swept, right? They were swept by the Celtics. So it's the Celtics. We're going to, if it's okay with you, we talk about it in the perspective of it's going to be Dallas versus Boston in the final.
That's okay with me.
Okay.
I don't even see the Timberwolves winning tonight.
I don't. I think they'll get swept, and if they don't, they'll be out in 5.
Yeah.
Because to reiterate it, no team has ever come back from down 3-0 in a series in the NBA.
Yep.
In history, and only 2 or 3 or 4 have come back from 3-1 down. I mean, it's a very small.
Yeah.
Small.
Not a lot.
Number. Who do you got in the NBA Finals?
I got the Mavs. I got Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, and the Mavs. I love how they're playing right now. I think that if the C's don't have Porzingis out there, that they're vulnerable, and that this Mavericks team can really put them to work. I think you're going to have to get Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum working a lot on defense, as the Mavs just like making Jason Tatum guard Luka, making Jason Tatum guard Kyrie, because you need to switch it up. You're not going to want to just always be cooking Derek White and Drew Holiday, because they're also good defenders. So I think that Dallas has obviously I'm biased. I'm a Laker fan. I do not want to see the Celtics win, but the Mavs have what it takes. It's crazy because Mark Cuban sold his share, and now here we are. His team with Kyrie and Luka have a chance to win it all. So I think it's the Mavs, but I would understand if you thought that the Celtics were going to sweep in the finals.
Yeah, whoa. You would understand if I said they were going to sweep?
No, you can't sweep Luka. You could be Luka in 6. That's about it.
I don't know. I want the Mavericks to win because I hate the Celtics. I mean, you can't be from Los Angeles and not hate the Boston Celtics, right?
Well,
unless you've got family from Boston.
Okay.
I mean, what are we talking? We're talking about like
I've seen it.
This guy. No, I want the Mavericks, but my brain's telling me go for Boston. I think this is the time. I mean, they want their revenge. They've had heartbreak year after year. When was the last time they won a championship? Oh, was it 2008 maybe? Was number 17 for them? So, it's been a very long time since they've won a championship. And I think they're ready to break that streak. The Mavericks, on the other hand, what are they won it in 11 with Dirk maybe.
Yep.
I mean, listen, it's been a while since both of these teams have won a championship, but I think the Celtics are a team that have been back a number of times. I mean, they lost to the Warriors just a couple years ago in the final. How many times have they been back in the championship? I don't have the number at the top of my head.
One other time. No, that was it.
Right? I'm blanking now,
Right.
but anyway. Yeah.
Nuggets. No, because Nuggets played the Heat.
Right.
I mean,
Because they've lost in the conference final a lot.
Yeah, every year.
But they made it. The last time I can think of was 22. They were in the final with the Warriors and they lost. And I don't know. I'm gonna say this is the year the Celtics take it. I hope I'm wrong. A lot of the takes that I have, I hope I'm wrong about, and I hope I'm wrong about this Celtics take. But I think this could be their year, and I don't think Jason Tatum's gonna be the MVP. I think it'll be Jaylen Brown.
Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. I think that that's a lock.
Yeah.
I think that Jaylen Brown has been outplaying Jason Tatum these entire playoffs.
Yeah.
And that the only way that Jason Tatum would win, Finals MVP?
Yeah.
Is just like if the voters are, what do they call them? Jason Tatum fans? They have a name for
They
them.
have a name for Jason Tatum fans?
Yeah.
Do they really?
I think it's something dick suckers, something along those lines. And yeah, so we don't.
I think Brown will.
Do you get what I'm trying to say?
I get what you're trying to say. I think it would take a lot for Tatum to beat out Brown.
Brown's the guy.
I think he's the guy. And then I think, well, then is it going to be Luka or Kyrie on the other side? That could go either way.
Luka.
They're very different, but I think it's got to be Luka as well.
I think it would probably hurt his legacy if it wasn't him to win.
You think he's not being overshadowed, obviously, but
absolutely not. But
no, I don't mean that. But do you think that, let's say Mavs win it, Kyrie gets Finals MVP? I mean, does that really hurt your legacy? Because how much did it hurt, Steph Curry's legacy when Iguodala won Finals MVP?
that didn't hurt it as much as Durant winning it twice. That hurt it
but
a
even
lot.
then, I mean, you're saying
what?
that.
Because then he got it.
Well, then I don't know. Curry's still the best point guard of all time. I don't know if it affects their legacy too much because he's still going to be looked at as one of the key pieces, if not the key piece. Even if he doesn't win Finals MVP,
You're right.
He's still probably the key piece.
Shout out PJ Washington. Never know. He could win it.
Hey, shout out Campbell Hall legend Drew Holiday.
All right, that's where we're going.
No, don't disrespect Drew.
Him and his soft spots.
I didn't say a soft spot for him. I just said shout out Campbell Hall.
We know you do.
I do have a soft spot for him.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. Thank you for joining us on the Double Overtime Pod.
Yeah.
You gonna say thank you?
Well, it's been great. We want to thank you, and thank you for bearing with us on this new experience for us on the couch.
Yeah.
That sounds, I don't know why I put it like that.
I think it's better.
I like it. It's nice.
Yeah.
It's better than doing it on Zoom.
Yeah.
So hopefully we see more of these. I mean, dude, we only have a few more weeks together, man.
Yeah.
It's a little sad. We don't want to get into this sob story now, so we're just going to end the episode and we're going to cry about it after.
All right.
But thanks again for tuning in for episode, was it 3 or 4 now of Double Overtime, and we'll see you in the next one.
Peace.